What is up, everybody? Steve here. I hope you are doing well. Today we are going to talk about mortgage interest rates and what could be the foreseeable future for the real estate industry as a whole if mortgage rates continue to increase, and possibly looking back in the past, how long they could stay at elevated levels and what that could ultimately do to the real estate market. We need to look at the Fed rate, what Paul Volcker did in the late 70s. So if we take a look here on the Fed chart, basically, we can see when Paul Volcker, I think he was in from 77 to 81 when he was raising rates aggressively. And we can see that, in 1980, he went to 17.6%. And as it stands today, we're about 3.7% based around early November 2022. Now, Jerome Powell has kept saying that he needs to get inflation down to their mark of 2%. I've watched several of his videos when he talks about the increase in the Fed rate. And every time he's very repetitive as well in terms of bringing that inflation number down. So I believe we're going to see stark increases for the foreseeable future. But if we look back in history in terms of mortgage interest rates, it's not looking so good, especially if the Fed keeps increasing rates. So if we go over to the 30-year fixed mortgage rates, we can see we're hovering around 7%. I think today's rate was about 7.2% for the 30-year fixed. But if we look back in the 80s, we're double digits. So I want to bring you over to this chart here. And everything in red is showing double-digit mortgage interest rates. So in 79, we were at 11.2%. 80, we're at 13.74%. 81, almost 17%. 82, 16%. And as you can keep seeing here, it's over 10% all the way up until 1990. Now, pre-1979, we were even in the 9s and the 8s. And 91 to 92, we were in the 9s and 8s. And then after 93, it started to decrease. Now, can you imagine if we had a 10-year period of double-digit mortgage interest rates and what that would do ultimately to real estate as a whole and affordability as well? Now, I hear some of these yahoos on mainstream media and everything. They're like, oh, back in the 80s, my mortgage rates were 16%, this and that. But let's jump over to this chart here showing the median sales price of houses sold for the United States. And if we look back when these dudes are talking in the early 80s in terms of what the actual value of the homes were, we can clearly see it was under $70,000, roughly around $70,000 during that time period of the value of the houses. And now we can jump up until today, Q3 of 2022. We're almost at $500,000. We're talking about 10 times. When I look at real estate, I never overcomplicate things. I try to keep things as simple as possible. Now, pre-pandemic, around 2019, I was selling off real estate because at that time, I thought that real estate values were high. I was looking at our local market here. Things were stagnant. Properties were staying on the market for 6, 12, 18 months, and things were really just flattened out. So I saw that it was probably an opportune time to sell off real estate and then look at other investment opportunities. And then come into the pandemic, we had artificially low interest rates. We had stimulus money coming into the market, and unfortunately, it just exasperated all asset classes. And now we're in a situation where we have really high values of real estate, where we peaked out and things are starting to come down a little bit, and we have mortgage rates that are just continually increasing. So something's gonna have to give in the real estate market. I think one of two things are gonna have to happen. The Fed may start to stop increasing the Fed rate, which I don't think is gonna happen, and maybe they decrease it, which I don't think is gonna happen in the short term anyway. And then we might see mortgage rates follow that. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to start to see mortgage rates increase. I believe we probably will see double-digit mortgage interest rates. And if that happens, then the values of real estate will start to come down. Anyway, thanks a lot for joining me today. Let me know what you guys think mortgage rates are going to do in the next 3 to 6 months. I appreciate any feedback that you guys have. Just drop in the comments below. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks a lot.